Hello, everybody. Man, I just finished working out and taking a shower to get ready for this. And like I've been meaning to play this game for the channel for the longest time. So much so that that little voice in my head that likes to sing and say for the longest, not gonna do it. For anybody who's new to the channel, there's a little bit of an echo, sorry. My name's Gabe, this is Casual Play, and we play games very casually for a bunch of reasons, for fun, for messing around, for challenges, for lore, for theories, for planning and thinking about stuff. This game, though, is for me. I've played a couple different games on the channel that are a couple solo games. If you've seen some recent streams, there's been, I played the Outer Worlds. Just recently I finished streaming. Supernova playthrough, which is me like a challenge, but I like the game a lot, so it was a lot of fun. A little tedious, but still. Finished up Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a mix of me kind of like doing half of this with lore and writing, and half of just messing around. Because I don't like that game as much as the normal Mass Effect games. So that's all to say, basically. Before I played Andromeda, I played Mass Effect 1, back when we were a different channel name. And I called it the retrospective, because it was me looking back at Mass Effect 1, like a decade after it had come out. Playing it, starting my class, talking about the writing, talking about the process of the game, the mechanics in and out. Man, this loading time's long. That's okay. I got a lot to say. So it was basically like a long form. Oh, that's fine. Those servers will never come back on. It was basically the retrospective. I meant to do a retrospective for this, but this is still the retrospective. This is basically, I'm going to sit here and talk about this game while I play it the whole way through. I guess you could call it a full play or a long play. Like, it is a playthrough. This is an LP. But this is not just going to be me. I mean, I will always descend into funny hijinks and jokes and funny voices. I will always do that because it's me. Let me just fix my computer really quick. Okay. But part of the way I want to structure this, and I think I talked about this when I played Mass Effect 1. Basically, what I want to do is, if anybody's ever seen or heard the work of one Plague of Gripes on YouTube, who does great work, you should check out his Patreon. He played Dark Souls 1 twice, one with a randomizer and one just normally. And he basically, I don't want to say too much. He went through the game, talked about a lot of how the game came into being, a lot of what the game is, how the game works, and because he's an artistic type, that type of focus. So with me, I want to come at this the same way. I want to talk about things from a writing perspective, from an art perspective. This is like an art through, a writing through Dragon Age Origins, but Gabe Plays is a lot easier. So we're going to call it Gabe Plays, because my name is Gabe. And retrospective for me was always a little clunky of a title. But this is basically what that is. It's me looking back just over 10 years of this game. So we've been talking a whole lot. In terms of downloadable content, we've got an F-ton. We've got everything, because I maxed out the DLC for this game and all the achievements. So everything is here. Even the weird extra stuff Bioware had for the PC that they eventually released to the 360, I have that all. This is not going to be a challenge run through, so all this extra stuff I am going to be using for fun, and it's also got lore on it too. I don't know if we'll do some of the DLC, all the post-game expansions like Awakening, Witch Hunt, Amgarok. We're going to do that. Darkspawn Chronicles, we probably won't do that. Leliana Song, we won't do that. But I have all the rewards for them already. I might talk about them in detail at one point during the story. But for now, we're really just going to focus on the single player. Do I have any save games even in here? This is 9 hours into the game. When was this? Gosh, switch characters. Oh, I did, yeah, okay. I did another Blight Chronicles. So this was my test thing, yeah. This is the class I'm going to be rolling. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. So that is to say, Gabe is going to be playing this game, and we're 5 minutes in. He's going to be talking about why I'm going to be talking about why I love this game so much, essentially. so I think I've prefaced it as much as I can. So I think without further ado, we'll just get started. And at some point, this might turn into like a stream. I don't know how that's gonna play out. I want to just keep recording these episodes for as long as I can because they give me the chance to really talk without worrying about the stream quality, without distractions, and I get to edit them a bit more to my talking points a bit more clear. But that's what this is gonna be. So, without further ado, let's start playing Dragon Age and let's start getting into why I love it so much, as well as obviously, big caveat: I played this game at a formative time in my life. Came out 2009. I'm 26 right now. I was like 16 when this game came out. So, big ups there. So, new game. And we'll get through. We won't do these two probably, but we will do these two. Even though this one's not that important. But the save game data, we're going to transfer this. I should say now, for the purposes of this channel, we are going to be carrying this playthrough to Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. I am planning a full trilogy to catch up to the eventual Dragon Age 4, or quote unquote, whatever it is. So this is part of the reason why I'm doing this now too, for the timing. So let's do it. Stop talking. And so it is, and so is the Golden City blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven, and doom upon all the world. Canticle of Threnodies, 8:13. I think right off the bat, the big thing about this world I love is just the amount of lore available. The world building.
The chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead, they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. The Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness and prevail. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long.
Why does that Darkspawn just sit there?
Too late.
It just gets kicked off, lying there.
My own eyes, what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
All right, that was a big opening. A lot got thrown out of that set just there. So before we even go into class, let's not even go into the classes yet. Let's calm down. Before we get into classes, big opening. Lore, history, different races, people from different walks of life. Very Lord of the Rings. This was 2009. Lord of the Rings Return of the King film was about 4 years old at this point in terms of release. Game of Thrones, as this game came out, Game of Thrones as a property was skyrocketing in terms of popularity. Books were coming out. I think the show was still present at that time. A good way to sell this game to people you like and know, or you want to try it, is essentially this is Game of Thrones with much more overt fantasy and magical tones. Closer to Lord of the Rings. This is between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones in terms of tone and genre. Right? Lord of the Rings is full-blown fantasy. This gets a little bit more rooted, at least in terms of its focus compared to the films. Focus a lot more on the nitty-gritty. But not as nitty-gritty as Game of Thrones. Not a lot of incest going on here. Political intrigue exists, but not to the extent you might see from, like, the Telltale's Game of Thrones, where it's all dialogue. There's dialogue here. But part of the thing that I think... Part of what makes me really love this game, and a lot of Bioware titles around this time, is that you get a certain amount of agency, and in your playstyle, in your dialogue choices, in your character. So right off the bat, we're going to start creating our own character. So in this universe, male and female, they're generally regarded as equals. Both genders are evenly represented in most organizations, noble houses, and military forces. There are different parts of this setting that, because it's speculative, which means speculative setting. It means it's made from scratch. You speculate about a type of world that could exist. You know, everything's based off our perception of existence, obviously, but in more or less tones, this is just a new setting where social stigmas about race and gender don't necessarily exist. They can be inserted depending on what culture we're talking about or what specific faction we're talking about, but that's pretty much it. And I will say right now, I'm going to create a character I'm created already for a fan fiction for Dragon Age, so if you guys want to check that out, links in the description for my fan fiction profile, so it's all there. So we're going to go with a guy. Humans. Pretty commonly, humans, most divided out of all the races, but the most numerous. 4 times have they ever united under a single cause, the last being centuries ago. Religion and chantry play a large part in human society, distinguishes culturally them from elves and dwarves more than anything else. You can be a warrior, a rogue, or a mage. You get some racial benefits: strength, dexterity, magic, and cunning. A lot of this is going to be the intro, holy god. So essentially this is to say that humans are anything and everything. You get points in a little bit of everything. You don't specialize in anything, but humans are pretty generic. Humans, right? Religion and chantry, we'll get into that a little bit more later. But essentially think it's a type of pseudo-Christianity. Plays very similarly, and it is one of the more dominant religions in this world. Elves. In this universe, we have elves that are the minorities, essentially. Rather than being like Lord of the Rings elves, where they're like higher beings of a different plane of existence, live longer. They have hints of that here, but imagine if the Lord of the Ring elves died out, or at least their civilization collapsed. That's what we have here. We have post-apocalyptic Lord of the Rings elves that have lived on forever into the current day, and they're now, because of their fall from grace, they are now minorities, essentially. So it says here, most elves have all but lost their culture, scrounging and impoverished living in the slums of human cities. Only the nomadic Dalish tribes still cling to their traditions. A lot of indigenous people vibes here as well, living by the bow and in the rule of their old gods. As they roam the ancient forest, welcome nowhere else, elves can be warriors, rogues, and mages. Basic D&D setup. Bioware likes to roll with the D&D setup. Warriors are your big hitty guys with lots of health, do a good amount of damage, and can take a lot of damage. Rogues are your specialists, move quick, move quietly. Essentially, sneak attackers, do a lot of high damage, and so on and so forth. Mages are magic. We'll get back. We'll go. More mages kind of deserve their own section, but for now, mages, magic users are part of this world. They're not exactly like Lord of the Ring mages, because in terms of the films, Lord of the Ring mages aren't too well defined. Just people who have studied magic, essentially, are mages. And elves here have a higher affinity, for willpower, for magic, because of their more mystical background. So that says that about them. Dwarves, pretty much dwarves. Small, have a lot of rigidity in their structure, live in caves, but there's a little bit more to it for these type of dwarves. But very similar to Lord of the Rings. Out of all the races, humans and dwarves are pretty similar to their other incarnations you see. Elves are probably the ones that are a bit more unique compared to the other iterations of elves. At least if you are talking broadly. Obviously, there's other more specific stuff that might be more common. So the dwarves have been waging a losing war for generations, trying to protect the last stronghold of their once vast underground empire from the Darkspawn. Dwarves are very tough and have a high resistance to all forms of magic, therefore preventing them from being mages. Dwarves cannot be mages because in this world they have a high resistance to magic. That's pretty much what that is. Now, I should talk about something else too. Darkspawn. They're basically demon orcs. As far as you guys should know right now, if anybody doesn't want to be spoiled, as far as the setting and the tone is concerned, they are demon orcs. That's pretty much it. They exist underground. Every once in a while, they surge to the surface, led by a dark ruler of a certain kind. We'll learn about that more later. But essentially, because they always live underground, dwarves who also live underground have to deal with them. So in this version of dwarves, they're bound by such caste and tradition and a specific hierarchy, but they're also losing a war against the Darkspawn slowly but surely over the span of centuries. And the recorded history of Dragon Age is about 9 centuries long. The name Dragon Age itself comes from the idea that this is the Dragon Age. An age that lasts about 100 years. So we have all the ages leading up, like the Steel Age, the Storm Age, the ages and so on and so forth. Such things like that, right? And similar to our common calendar usage here, in this society, there is a Christ-like figure, and the calendar starts from that date. There is history before the ages, the use of ages, but it's about what you would expect. It's loose, some written accounts, a lot of oral accounts, so on and so forth, a lot of lost accounts. Okay, so we'll get more into a lot of this in much more detail later, obviously. And then for now, we're going to go with our character, who is a male and also an elf. None of these are pretty important lore-wise, except for rogues, except for mages. I will say almost every time I play a Dragon Age game for the first time, I usually play a rogue, just to kind of test the game out, to see how it works, to kind of be able to do a lot of technical stuff in terms of like lockpicking and so on and so forth to get into areas I couldn't. So I usually play almost every Dragon Age game the first time as a rogue, as an homage to my first time playing the game, which was as a rogue, and the bottom background, which is the leftmost one, the one with the mask on it. That's usually the one I roll with the most. I should fix the brightness a little bit on this, but I'll do that later. But basic D&D setup. Now mages, we get a chance to actually talk about them now. Mages, as dangerous as it is potent, magic is a curse for those lacking the will to wield it. Malevolent spirits that wish to enter the world of the living are drawn to mages like beacons, putting the mage and everyone nearby in constant danger. Because of this, mages lead lives of isolation, locked away from the world they threaten. And there's specializations. You actually get little bonuses for your class to help your class be better. And there's extra classes in the DLC as well. So, what's the deal with mages in this world? Well, very clearly, mages are essentially they're second-class citizens in the way that, how should I put this? X-Men are second-class citizens. Sorry, hold on a second. My mic is being really annoying right now. I'm trying to get my headphones to a place where they're comfortable, and they're not comfortable. So in this world, when you have magic, you're not just a magic user. You're also someone who is at risk of being possessed by demonic forces. And demonic forces exist in this world, so do positive spirits. Beneficial spirits also exist. But in this world, there's a great fear of demonic forces. And what demonic forces do in this world of magic and fantasy is they tend to go after mages, because mages have the ability to shape reality. And because mages are basically, like it says here, they're drawn to enter the world of the living like a beacon. Mages are at risk of endangering others around them. So in most of these societies in this setting, what they do is put them into secluded areas. Now there's that's a big debate in and of itself. That's a big philosophical debate in and of itself about what to do with a certain group of people who are at risk, but also have a lot of power. So there's a lot that goes into that, and it's why we're going to be picking mage for our playthrough. So I'm a male elven magical person. I'm a double minority. And if I chose to be female, I could be a triple minority. That's the trifecta. It's girl. I mean, not in this world. I guess it's not a minority, but in our real world. So yeah. So being a mage of either human or elf throws you into the magical background, because every game starts with about an hour's worth of gameplay into your specific background. I love it. Bioware has said they'll never do it again because it took up a lot of resources, and I get that. It does take up a lot of resources, but it's one of my favorite parts of the game. It's just getting an hour to just spend time in your background that is unique to you. They all offer something interesting. So like, as a warrior or a rogue, you could be a Dalish elf, so you could be one of the nomad elves we talked about earlier. And you get a background that everyone ends up going to the prologue the same way, but your reasons for getting there and your agency and the character you shape can be different, which I think is really interesting. Or you could be a city elf, basically the minority I talked about before. It's your wedding day, and racial tensions explode. Just to briefly go over the other ones while we're here. Human, if you're a rogue or a warrior, you just be born as a noble, in which you are not royalty, but you live as like a close family to the royalty. So everyone's getting ready for the war with the Darkspawn, and your family's been called upon to join the battle, and you're the second oldest son. And a lot happens. And one thing I like about this game that Dark Souls also does a lot is any background you don't pick, you get to hear things about what happened to that character. So I'll say now, for example, the Dalish Elf, because it's very important to the lore, actually. If you don't pick Dalish Elf, you hear about what happened to them in Dragon Age 2, because what happened to them is very important for a specific character, and it involves their background. So you get to hear things about them in the world. And whether or not they survived, or how they survived, or if they died. Most of the time, whoever you don't pick as an origin, they usually all die, right? Like the dwarves, the mage. Like if I don't pick the mage, that character probably dies. I think the mage actually is the most unknown if it dies, but it's assumed potentially they die. They all have a reason for dying. And dwarves, you're either born as a noble. You're the third son of the king or daughter of the king. And it's a big political intrigue minefield. This is the real political intrigue starter of the game if you wanted to get a glimpse of what that looks like. And then commoner, that's a misnomer. You're actually not a commoner. You're worse than commoner. You're casteless. In this caste-based society, rank is everything, and you are casteless. You're branded for life, and you're basically a thug or a criminal, and your only work you can do is crime. And so basically, you're a thief. You're growing up trying to hustle, trying to get your way somewhere. And you could prove whether or not you can be defined by your birth and so on. So lots of great origins, a lot of big slices of life from every which way. I think it's really great. I personally like doing the elf story because I think humans are a little generic. I don't identify very closely with dwarves, but elf has that little thing. Like as a teenager, it matched my like wiry build. I'm a pretty lean guy, very thin. I like talking about like the mystical type of things. I don't consider myself very strong. But nimble or thoughtful is how I play my games a lot. So we're essentially going to go that route. So I should read this. Wielding a power as dangerous as it is potent, you know that magic is a curse for those lacking the will to control it. You anxiously wait your harrowing, the one chance to prove yourself against the demons lurking within, without, and within. Succeed or be slaughtered by the knights who ward against your kind. So we're going to just jump right in and learn about mages. That's where we're going to start the game. We're going to learn about all these cultures. But we're 25 minutes in, and we should start learning about at least one and play the game. But I still have a character customization screen to get to, so I'll probably cut this part out because I'm not going to get something that looks exactly like me, because you can see the character creator isn't very in-depth. It gets better in Dragon Age 2 is a little step forward, step back. I'm not going to create my own character for 2. I'm going to make a character using the default settings. And Inquisition, I'll make my new character again. Inquisition has a pretty decent character creator. But for now, I'm going to create the character. I'll probably see you guys in a bit. I doubt I'm going to talk about anything important, unless I do, and then I'll edit it in. So I'll see you there. Okay, so we've gotten past the part of the character creator. Amazingly, somehow. This is Ren Serrana, based partially on a character I wrote for a novel called Reef Lucian. We'll get more into his characterization a little bit later, and the background I have for him. This is a little bit of roleplay fun, too. because I have a lot for this character in mind already. Right? He has good hair. Not a lot of hair options. I'm probably going to put a hat on at some point. When I find the right hat, though. And only when. So because of our mage leanings and our elvish class bonus, race bonus, excuse me, we have a high willpower and high magic, which is the most important stat for our mage. Now that being said, we need some cunning, because we will have some abilities that need more cunning. So for now, we're going to bump these up to 18. Ooh, that's not a lot, actually. Undo. I'll bump you to 12. Constitution, for your technical, on certain mages, it's useful. These aren't going to be very useful. Because even if you wanted to spec into strength and dex, there's a better way to do it. Put simply, this is strength, mostly for two-handed weapons. It's going to help deal with your accuracy of your melee attacks, as well as your affected damage. This is your agility and balance. It's going to make you more likely to dodge hits. Archery and dual weapon fighting, which is a weapon in each hand, is going to need a lot of this. Warriors, rogues, everyone uses willpower. It's your stamina pool, your mana pool to use moves. This is really only useful for mages, but it does affect your created items, restorative items. This is mostly for rogues, but there's a lot of other skills we're going to be using that are important, so that's why we're going to bump this. We're also going to bump Constitution, because just general health. We're going to lean on those two first ones. These are our skills. Now, when I'm talking about skills, I'm not talking about abilities for combat. These are more outside of combat, but they do offer a few in-combat bonuses. For example, let's start with the top, honestly. Coercion. This is your speech. I know in Mass Effect 1, I talked about how you have the Paragon Renegade system, so the more of either good guy you were or bad guy you were, we'll just use those terms loosely, the more ability you had to talk to people. In this game, your ability to talk to people is dependent on your cunning score. Also, there's some dialogue options that are hinging on strength options, intelligence options. Well, not intelligence, but strength, dexterity. Certain, like D&D. You want to use strength to open a door, you open a door. If you have enough, magic, you do magic on something, right? If you have knowledge about a thing, you use that thing. This gets better with some of the Dragon Age games. Not all the way through, but you get some interesting results. This is just basically, though, you unlock more persuasive options. So this is like rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4. We're going to be getting all of these. So we will need a cunning of at least 16 towards the later part of the game. So we're going to be getting these like crazy. This is stealing. This is your thief ability, but anybody can grab it. You need at least 10 cunning. You just grab NPCs when they're not alerts, when they're not fighting you, and you steal items from them. We're going to use one perk. We're going to use 1 point to spend on this eventually in order to get a quest specific to only characters who can steal. So we're going to be doing that at a later point in the game, not right away. I should say, too, a lot of these skills go away in other Dragon Age games, or they get simplified into different classes. So the skill system goes away. I can understand why. It's a lot of extra stuff, and it's easier just to simplify certain things. But I do miss this level of control over your character. Trap making, pretty simple. Traps, you create lures. If you want to set up ambushes for other enemies, it's a pretty good idea. Problem is, unless you play the game more than once, you don't really know where to ambush people. But you can see people ahead of time. Like if you make one of your rogue characters go stealthy and look in advance, oh, there's enemies up there. I'm gonna lure them back. I'm gonna tell my party to hold still here, put traps here, and then lure them back when I go out of stealth. That gets a lot really complicated. You can do it, and it's a lot of advanced play there. But the game's mechanics aren't explicitly built for it. So it's really annoying to have to tell your party to wait and then come and then walk around it, and then it's, like I said, it's mostly D&D, but without a lot of flexibility that normal D&D would run you. So I don't do trap making. I do 1 point in it with a companion, so I could do a quest later in the beginning of the game. That's about it. Survival. You get a small bonus to nature resistance, so natural enemies like wolves and bears and such, and certain spells. But this is basically, you use this for dialogue. We might get 1 or 2 of these. Not a lot, honestly. We're going to focus mostly on dialogue, because more dialogue options is how I like playing games. If you saw the Outer Worlds playthrough, you know that's true. Survival is basically your ability to detect other creatures below your own skill level, as well as you also get some conversation options with like doing things like that. Herbalism, we automatically get a point in herbalism because of our background. Basically making potions. Can you craft potions? There you go, you're done. Poison making, can you make poisons? Can you make poisons for your grenades? Poisons for your weapons, attach them on. Poison grenades, stuff like that. This are kind of the same thing at the end of the day, but this is specific poisons. I don't dabble too much in poison. I think I have a character or two that does do it just for the sake of having an extra option for poison, but it's never usually part of my main builds, to be honest. This is important for any rogue or any warrior-based class. This gives you access to more talents and weapons. Sorry, abilities. We'll get to abilities in a little bit for warriors and rogues later when we have more party members. But essentially, this is saying that, hey, let's say these are abilities like, hey, this is rank 1, swing your sword. This is increase your swing sword ability. This is shield bash and then swing sword. The combat prowess, combat training lets you unlock each tier. That's what that is. So you get more advanced abilities down the road. For mages, however, you can take more damage if you have a long spell cast. Not the best for mages, but it is useful when you learn some really advanced spells that take time to cast. So we might end up dabbling in some of these later on for the mage, but not a lot. These are combat tactics. I do think this is a bad idea to put this in the upgrade system, but basically you can now give them more options in combat. You can give them more gambits, if anybody recalls those type of systems in a lot of common RPGs. Basically, you can make them, you give them more options. So like I could give this character right now when I'm not controlling them, hey, if you're below 30% health, drink a potion, right? Or do this spell. Do this action when you see this many people. If you see 3 or more people, do a big fireball spell. Things like that. You can set them up to do certain things. I personally like micromanaging the team and making them do every little thing unless it's a safe fight and then just letting them do whatever. But if it's a hard encounter, I like micromanaging. That's my thing. So I might do 1 or 2 of these, but I'm not going to go into combat tactics very strongly. So those are your skills. We're going to lean into dialogue very heavily because it produces some of the best content. A lot of skills here for for mages. This is essentially your bread and butter. These are the abilities we're going to be using in and out. For our mage, we're going to be dabbling a lot in certain elemental spells, but primarily in lightning. I'm going to have each mage do something, but we're going to dabble in almost everything. Like I'm going to get fireball. I might get earthquake, but stone fist for sure, and cone of cold. And eventually probably Blizzard, but for the time being, my main focus for this character is going to be lightning, because I don't want to waste time on elemental weapons, and also because, so these are your attacks, your elemental attacks for mages. We'll go into rogues and warriors when we get those characters. Creation School is your support class, so you can build your mage to be more supporty. One thing I don't like about the later Dragon Age games is a lot of these skills become specialized skills. So I can't teach somebody to just heal anymore. They have to specialize in healing, which I think sucks and goes against the lore. But that's an argument for much later. So we will be learning some heal spells. Nothing too crazy. Some of these are very good. We probably will be learning Spell Wisp and maybe Grease, because Grease is pretty good. Spell Bloom also. Stinging Swarm's not bad. But a lot of this will go into more detail of how it works. But know that these are your support skills. Let's see here. Spirit. This is one of my favorite schools of magic, and probably the one you're going to see me dabble in the most outside of Primal. Spirit is essentially, there's no description for it, but a lot of like spiritual, I say spiritual, but a lot of things that target other mages or interact directly with sources of magic. We're definitely going to be doing Walking Bomb. We're going to be doing Death Siphon, which means when someone dies, you can draw magic from their body. Walking Bomb Plus. Animate Dead. This is you can summon a skeleton to act as your ally. Again, this is another skill tree that became a specialized class in Inquisition and then almost went away entirely for Dragon Age 2, unfortunately. Mana Drain we're also going to be doing. Mana Cleanse is really great. Spell Might is awesome because it just buffs all your magic, but you spend a lot of magic doing it. This spell, if you end up specializing in Spirit, this spell is Mage Killer. Like, forget the Mage Killing class as a specialized warrior. This uses any amount of mana. So basically, anybody that's a magic user, any mana they have, you use that mana and it's proportional to the amount of health they lose. So this is your mage killer. You can one-hit optional bosses with this skill. It's fantastic. We're going to be doing it. A lot of this we won't be doing. Dispel Magic's okay. Spell Shield we're not going to be going into. Mind Blast is good. It's a stun. We're going to be doing that for sure. Crushing Prison is really great. We'll probably do that at some point. So this tree a little bit, lightning and dabbling in some primal, and then the last one is entropy. This is your debuff class, right? If this is your support class, this is your debuff class. I don't specialize too much in this for me, but it's a really good skill tree that I like to have certain companions do. So a lot of stuff here. So like weaknesses, paralyzing, misdirection, disorientation, fear, again, a lot of D&D stuff, just a lot of cool, crazy. And my favorite thing about this too, there's a lot of secret combos you can do. So just keep that in mind. There's combos. So the first spell we're gonna do, healing. We need to learn to heal, quite honestly. And then we're gonna do. We already have a regular standard magical bolt attack. So from here, we're probably gonna do not rock armor, although eventually we will do rock armor. I want to say maybe lightning, or maybe we should be going into walking bomb soon, because death siphon's gonna be important going forward. Although I do need a lot of magical work, but being able to resupply my magic is pretty good. Let's see here. Let's see. So I have, this is a single target. This is also a single target. We're going to go further with lightning in a little bit, but for now, I think we're going to get started on, we're going to get started on some of these spears. So we're going to do walking bomb, which is a single target, but it explodes. So it brands a character with a spell that makes them take damage, and then it explodes. And then this one makes it so anybody it explodes on does extra damage. So we're going to do a single target damage over time, which is a dots damage over time, as well as a AoE. So it's a pretty good starting spell. We'll do a stunner eventually too, because that's really useful. But for the time being, we're gonna do this. We're gonna play on normal, because we're here mostly for the lore, not the Nor, whatever that is. All right, I've been talking for like ever. Jesus, let's finally start the game.
On a cliff overlooking the dark waters of Lake Kalenhad stands the tower fortress that is home to the Circle of Magi. This tower is the only place in Ferelden where mages may study their art among others of their kind. Within the high stone walls, the Circle practices its magic and trains apprentices in the proper use of their powers. But the Circle Tower is as much a prison as a refuge. The ever-vigilant Templars of the Chantry watch over all mages, constantly alert for any sign of corruption. This gilded cage is the only world you know. Found to be sensitive to magic at a young age, you were torn from your family and grafted here as an apprentice. Now, that apprenticeship is nearly over. All that remains is the final test, the Harrowing.
Magic exists to serve man, and never to rule over him. Thus spoke the prophet Andraste as she cast down the Tevinter Imperium, ruled by mages who had brought the world to the edge of ruin. Your magic is a gift, but it's also a curse. For demons of the Dream Realm, the Fade, are drawn to you, and seek to use you as a gateway into this world.
This is why the Harrowing exists. The ritual sends you into the Fade, and there you will face a demon, armed with only your will.
So basically, the mage's origin starts with, it is your coming-of-age ritual trial by fire. You are going to be thrown to fight a demon in your dream world. The Fate is a dream world. This is the magical version of, like, if you've been watching our FF10 playthrough, the Far Plane, if you're familiar with that. Or FF7, if you guys know that better. It's the life stream. It's the otherworldly part. It's not quite heaven, but it's as close as we're going to get in terms of, like, the fantasy version. So this is your other world. It's the realm of sleep, of the realm of dream, if that helps you understand it a bit better. Mages can go there with great ability when they're there, because they can shape reality to their wishes. The Fade is a mirror to reality. Just to say it without spoiling too much about how the Fade works, and that's why they can interact much better with it. It's also why demons love them, because you can shape reality and you can shape my world. So it's pretty fascinating. So unfortunately, like the narrator said, you were taken here from a young age because your magic is dangerous, and the mage origin, except for the human one, the elfish one, nothing is known about your background. And so you brought here as a young age, and you're here probably since you were like 6 or 10. You can headcanon it to be whatever specifically you want. But finally, after all your training, all your studying, you're here to be thrown to the wolves to see if you can really make it or break it as a mage. Because if you don't pass this test, you will die. Either the demon kills you, or if you fail against the demon and survive, like the demon possesses you, these Templars will kill you. The Templars are basically Knights Templar of medieval legend, but in this case, they are also demon hunters, magic hunters, and they also fight rogue mages that are against the religion of this area, the Chantry. So, hey, what happens if I can't defeat the demon?
It will turn you into an abomination.
Basically.
The Templars will be forced to slay you. This is Lyrium.
I should say, too, these early parts, I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. Once we get into the game more, I won't be doing quite as much talking. It'll get a little easier. I won't be stopping as much.
Every mage must go through this trial by fire. As we succeeded, so shall you. Keep your wits.
So your character is kind of like, what is this all about?
It's a realm of dreams.
Ugh, I hate that. I hate your characters like
But your own.
like my character's supposed to be squinting, but their eyes are closed.
Test alone, first enchanter.
It's fine.
Are ready.
Your character doesn't emote all that often, so we'll leave it at that. Quite honestly, it's no big deal. It's really annoying. For like a character I have so much headcanon about, it really sucks that like it looks so stupid sometimes. There's something about this game's tone and aesthetic too, like the blood, the gray, the beigeness. You know, it's there's a lot of kind of useless chaff all over the place, but there's a lot of bland coloring, but I feel like it helps the tone a lot too. So you can interact with the world and get codex entries like Mass Effect 1. Same thing. This game came after Mass Effect 1, nothing revolutionary. And if you hit that, you guys learn about the Harrowing. So among Apprentice's Circle, nothing is regarded more field than the Harrowing. It's kept a secret on purpose, and basically, if you pass it, you become a full member of the Circle of Magi, which is your group of fellow mages. When you fail, people don't know about it, but you usually disappear. And these are all in-universe lore entries, so by a Chantry scholar. And this is because we started as a mage. We have a lot of lore already about the veil that hides the Fade from our world, the wall, and so on and so forth. It's a lot of what I'm going to go over, but know now that everything in the Fade is a reflection of humankind, of humanity, of elves and dwarves. Maybe not so much dwarves, but emotion-wise too. They're very dependent on us. And these are the people you know. First Enchanter. This is his quote. The guy we were just talking to, the old man. This is the guy in armor. So these are little quotes by them. We got some guides. Nothing crazy. We got our map. We got our stuff that we got from the DLC. We're going to sell this immediately for a buttload of money. We got our stat screen. We got our skills. We got our spells. We can also level up from here too. So we're going to start and equip some stuff that we have. Not that. This is... the Dragon Age games don't do this as much anymore. But hitting X to compare to what I already have is fantastic. I love it. It's the best. So we're going to start putting on some armor now. Fatigue is basically your penalty to how much stamina and magic certain moves cost. So the higher your fatigue, which we can see on a screen over somewhere. I forget where it is. I know it's on a screen somewhere. Is it just... Oh, right here in the bottom, the little man running, the 0.5%. That's our fatigue. That's the penalty that gets introduced to our spells that makes it so our spells or stamina abilities get harder to use, essentially. So we will keep an eye on that later. It's why basically mages shouldn't put on armor, because your fatigue shoots up and it gets impossible to do anything. We got something from, I believe, the Witch Hunt DLC. We're going to put this on and never take it off until it's time to put on our specialized class abilities. We also have a ton of accessories. A lot of lore on these. So we're going to put some of this on.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I guess we'll put on the War Mage one. Yeah, we'll do more spirit damage, I suppose, for now. So we'll put this on for the time being, maybe take it off later. We don't have a lot else to put on, but right now we have a huge buff to all our stuff, essentially. We don't have any staffs to put on, but we have a lot of weapons, and these have requirements, obviously. So a lot of this are endgame items, but we'll get more into it as time goes on. And is this a Formari tomb just right away? Wait, hold on a second. Do I have 12 cunning? What are my stats? Oh, I need to know my base stats, dude. Shoot. I don't know my base stat. I think I have 12 cunning. So let's just read the book now then. This is a free skill point, so do that. There you go. Free skill point. Oh, and we also get a free bonus point here as well. Let's throw it into Constitution just to make that nice and even. And these are specializations. They unlock at rank 14. And we get I think the main character as well as some other characters get a second one at a different level. I forget what it is though. It's like 14 and no, it's 7 and 14. Level 7 and 14, we get options for specializations. We'll go more into this eventually because it's going to come up in dialogue. So just add a point in Constitution. Boom, improve coercion. We're just here to go forward. And like again, gameplay-wise, we're not here for the challenge. We're just here to go. More health potions. They're called Poultices. It's just a different form of potion. So you know what we should do? We should save the game. We have not saved the game at all. 46 minutes and we have not seen the game. All right. Let's have our first conversation, and I think that'd be a good place to end the episode, probably. So let's go find someone to talk to. Oh, an enemy. Pretty good. So we don't have a weapon, so we're gonna be casting with our hands. If we were just a normal fighter, I could go up to that person and try punching them, but that's about it. And that was a wisp. Just basically a mere thought of a being. It's just a small spirit that some people summon for themselves. We can get our own wisp in the gameplay. So we probably will because it's a small boost to magics. But that's a wisp. Basic enemy. Nothing too crazy. Again, very D&D style like. So we're going to see a lot of things that are very similar. We're going to just keep doing Arcane Bolt for now. Again, we're not here to really have too much of a struggle. We're just going to go through the story.
Excellent!
If you guys can tell, I picked the experienced voice. I don't know if it sounds like my voice. You guys decide if it is. Let's do a walking bomb. So it's going to be doing damage over time. And it exploded. Spirits can't technically bleed. But, you know, it's a cool effect. I get it. Hey, look.
Someone else thrown to the wolves, as fresh and unprepared as ever. It isn't right that they do this, the Templars. Not to you, me, anyone.
You're talking rap.
You think you're really here? In that body? You look like that because you think you do. It's always the same.
I love this character
It's
so
not
much.
your fault.
It's one of my
You're in the
favorites.
same boat I was, aren't you? Allow me to welcome you to the Fade. You can call me, well, Mouse.
Cool, you can change your shape.
Like I said, in this place, you are what you perceive yourself to be.
So again, we have an unvoiced character,
Be like you.
just like KOTOR 1.
The Templars kill you if you
so
take too long.
Spiritual success for the Baldur Gate, so it's just going to be a lot of unvoiced lines that I'm just going to read for you.
Getting out. That's what they did to me, I think. I have no body to reclaim, and you don't have much time before you end
So
up the same.
Mouse is telling us that basically he came in here like us, and unfortunately he took too long with his test, and he either time passed and his body withered away, or they killed him, or whatever, or they gave up. He is trapped in here. He has no body to return to. So he is a victim of the Harrowing, unfortunately. So, that sucks. I'm sorry, man. Or that's not going to happen to me. Or how long do I have exactly? Or what am I supposed to do? So these are kind of the same thing a little bit. This is your cocky answer. I'm going to say I'm sorry for what happened. That really sucks to be lost in a dream world with no body.
Don't waste time with that talk.
All right, I'm sorry.
To end up like this. There's something here, contained. Just for an apprentice like you. You have to face the creature, a demon, and resist it. If you can.
So we're here to face a demon specifically.
Or your opponents, if the Templars wouldn't kill you. A test for you. A tease for the creatures of the Fade.
I mean, a demon is scary. You know, you're fighting a metaphysical concept of negative emotion that controls your environment in your dream world. You're basically fighting Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street every time you come in here. Except one is sad, one is angry, one is hungry, one is based on your pride and your desire. They're all based on emotions. Like they're reflective of our world, of our physical world. Let's see. So yeah, he's saying it's a test for me, a tease for the creatures of the Fade, but anything can die. I doubt it's as simple as just fighting it.
You would be a fool to just attack everything you see. What you face is powerful, cunning.
Yeah, the Fade, by the way, also puts a filter on everything to make it all really blurry. So that's not your screen. That's not my screen. That's just the Fade.
If you can believe anything you
They relax on these filters in the next games. They nail down a lot more concepts. They want more precisely.
But you may have a way out.
Okay. So Mouse is going to come with us. And so we've been going on for a while.
Not far. Don't go near it unless you're ready to fight.
Thanks, Mouse. So Mouse is going to be a mouse. He's not going to help us fight because he's a coward. Oh, I missed you, baby. Oh, I missed this. I missed the radial menu. I'll talk more about the design choices to the UI and the radial menus in some of the other videos, but oh my goodness, I missed this radial menu and how good it is. Oh, look. And look what I can do. I can advance options later. I can switch skill sets. I can change party members if the options open. Poison, health. Yep, I can hold position. I can switch my weapon sweats. So my weapon sets. We'll go more into this a lot later. For now, this is part 1. I really hope you guys like it. If you guys want less talking sections and more of just playing the game, please comment below. Definitely subscribe for just a bunch more content. If you guys want more sit-down talking sessions, write that as well. If you guys think I missed anything in the lore, write it all down. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on this. If you guys want to hear more thoughts on this character in terms of roleplay, or thoughts on just general writing thoughts, I like to think of myself as a writer pretty often. So we'll go more. All of this will come into detail much more. So next time, we might have some shorter episodes, maybe 20, 30 minutes. We'll see how I'll end up editing it. So maybe smaller bites. But this first episode, I knew I had a lot to say, and I wanted to get some good content out there to get to the gameplay. So I'll just shut up and say thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned, because we're here for the duration. We're here for a long haul. Peace out. Hello. So blurry.